Hello everyone. In the previous session, we saw how to get the current date and time based on the time zone configured in this action. So what we are going to do next is we are going to convert this date time to two different formats. One is a text format and one is in different date formats like DD, YY or YY, DD or any other format. Let's see how that is done. This time, instead of the date time actions, we need to go into the text set of actions and convert date time to text is the action in question. So these are used for two purposes. One is, let's say, if your upstream system or downstream system accepts only text type of variables. Whereas when you double click this action, I'm sorry, double click this variable. When you double click this variable, you will find that the type of the variable is date time. So what if your destination system that you're automating accepts only text type? So in that case, you will have to convert this date time to a text. That is done using the convert date time to text action. That was one usage. There is one more usage that I will explain shortly, and that is to convert it into a different format, the desired format. Right now, our input date is stored in current date time. You can use a standard format, that is a short date or a long date, or let's say a full date time, long time. Can you see here it has changed the format? This is just a preview sample, or you can make use of the custom formats that you need. Let's check that out. If you put DD, observe the format sample over here. Hyphen is the long month name in caps. Hyphen YYYY. This is the format. You can even do a time addition to it, HH colon for minutes, seconds, and then if a single T gives you the single alphabet of AM PM, then adding another T over here will give you AM PM. There are different variations. If you change this to capital H, then it gives it in a 24-hour format. In that case, you won't need the AM PM. Then if you add a single H, it will give you only the single digit. This is just a preview, but let's say if the time is 7 a.m. So the single H will give you only 7 colon whatever the minutes and seconds are. Whereas if you add 2H, it will give you 07 colon whatever the minutes and seconds are. So let's keep it as it is. Our output variable is formatted date and time. Let's expand it, the formatted date and time as a text value because we are converting this to a text. And now remember the two ways of using this function. One is, let's say if you are accepting the date time and you want to convert it into a text to put it into a destination system, you can make use of this action. Whereas other usages, if you want to convert it to a desired format, you can make use of this action. Likewise, now this formatted date time variable, I'll run it and we can get its output. If you double click the variable, you can see that the data type is of text value. Likewise, if you want to convert a text back to data time for any reasons, let's say another system accepts only date time now after the formatting, then you can make use of the other function, that is the vice versa, the other way around from text to a date time. So now we will perform some addition and subtraction related operations. We make use of the add to date time action. So this accepts, let's accept the current date time, add 2 days to it. You can configure the seconds, hours, minutes, dates, years over here. Let's add 2 days. The resulted date is the value to look for. Let's run it and check it out in action. If the date for today is going to be 9th March. Then the result is 2 days after today, that is 11th March. That's for adding the date time. How about if you want to go backwards? So the way to do that is to simply add a minus sign over here and it will take you back 2 days. Let's run it this time. 9 minus 2, 7th March should be the date. There it is. That was about adding number of days, hours, minutes, seconds to a date time. Now you can even subtract two dates. Let's disable these two, or let's make use of this because we have a difference of 2 days over here. We have 9 and 7, and let's subtract these two dates. Subtract from current date time, which date you want to subtract, the resulting, and let's say you want it in days, although you have hours, minutes, seconds also. So the time difference, it should show us as 2 because there is a difference of 2 days between them. Let's check it out. There it is. Perfect. Yes. Let's see which other actions do we have. Adding, subtracting, date time variable properties. So this is very much useful. I'll disable this. Take a display message box. Now, after doing a get current date and time, the variable data time is date time type. So automatically when you expand it, you will get its related properties only related to a date time type of variable. So you can extract the day of week, the hour, month, second. Further, if you expand, you get many other features, the day of the year, and so forth. Just click each of these values and explore what it shows. That was about the variable properties. Moving on to the scripting set of actions. Let's take a new subflow for scripting. Now there is a separate category for scripting. You can run these types of scripting languages in pad, and let me show you a few samples. Let's take a DOS command. So in DOS, how do you get the date and time? I see some memory issues. Let's re-add it. So to get the date and time, you do an echo and percent date space percent time. If you run this command in your command prompt or DOS prompt, you will get the date time. But as you know, a single percent sign causes issues because it is used for variables. So you just add one more percent sign to them, each of them. And now it's time to run the flow and observe the output. Where is the output stored? So it has got these many types of variables: command output, the text output from the DOS command or application. That is we want. That is what we want, and the command error output, command exit code, further used for troubleshooting purposes. Let's disable this and only get the command output and keep a watch on it. Let's run it. There it is. The date and time perfectly extracted as a DOS command without even flashing the DOS window in front of you. It runs the command. So explore this action, check out a few things, try who am I and see what it gives. Try this command both on the DOS prompt as well as on the run DOS command, who am I. Okay, so the next is run VB script. So VB script is, this action is used to run any script that you write here in VB script programming language. Don't worry if you do not know VB script, you can even generate the script with Copilot. That I'll be showing it in the module 10, that is AI capabilities and features. For now, let's do a simple script to do an addition of two numbers. For that, I'll delete this. Let's take two numbers itself. So the main part that you need to know about using this action is how to use the pad variables inside the VB script action and how to return back the value from the VB script. So we take number 1, 10. I do a copy paste. This will now become our number 2, and let's give it a random value of 20. So now we have two flow variables, number 1, number 2. Let's check our VB script action. So we just declare a variable called as result where we will be storing the result, and our result will be equal to, you have a variable picker over here, number 1 plus number 2. So the way you are getting the values from the pad variables are simply using the variable picker, but now we are returning back from the script to the pad the output of the addition. That will be wscript dot echo, and you can give in brackets the result, and VB script output is what our output will be stored in. Let's check it out. Let's run the flow. Perfect. I can see a 30 over here, and the message box has also displayed as 30. So you have given back the output in a variable called VB script output, and that is what you can make use of in your flow further down the line. Now let's do the same thing using JavaScript. I'll disable the VB script and use JavaScript. I've used that variable in display box, that is why it is throwing an error. So remember, run JavaScript function on web page was for a different purpose. Now we need the one from the scripting group of actions. So run JavaScript. You declare a variable for result. Remember, in JavaScript everything should end with a semicolon. Then result is equal to same approach, number 1 plus number 2, but it ends with a semicolon, and wscript dot echo into braces result, again a semicolon. Case sensitivity is important in JavaScript. Again, JavaScript output is what we want, so we will display that this time. Let's clear the values and run the flow. No, there are no values displayed. Let's check it out why. Result is equal to num1 plus num2. Everything looks good. Var result. Everything looks actually good. No issues. Even number 1 and number 2 are initialized to 10 and 20. Let's make use of the return function. Spelling and cases are correct. Yes. Let's run this. No, not this time too. I'm damn sure it is wscript.echo. Even return might work, but I have worked it successfully using wscript.echo. Result is equal to num1 plus num2. I'm sure var is what is used. Let's give it a default value of 0 and see. No, doesn't like it. So let's see what Copilot gives. Add two numbers and return its result. Declare the result variable. Generate. It is taking it as constant, but that doesn't matter. WScript, oh, S is capital. As I said, it's case sensitive. JavaScript, it worked fine in VB script. Let's remove the zero. This time it should work. That's the help we took from Copilot just to understand the correct syntax, but we did not use the Copilot. Remember, we just checked what the correct way is. And as I said, JavaScript is sensitive. This S was needed to be capital, but VB script action is fine with a small s. That's how we troubleshooted it. What do we have next? Perhaps the other script actions. But now you get an idea of how to accept from pad variables into the script and then send it back to the pad flow from the scripting group of actions. You can explore the other actions. Where is scripting? There is scripting. You can explore the other set of actions, a Python script, PowerShell script. Yeah. So, so these icons are for Power Copilot. I'll be showing it to you in the 10th module, where we'll make use of other scripts too. In the meantime, for exploring of the other scripting languages, I recommend you to go to the main console in the examples section. If I showed you at the very beginning of this course, the different tabs, when we went to the different tabs, go into the examples tab. I have clicked it. Let's go back to home. Oh, it's going in not responding mode. I have a lot of softwares open on my machine and that's why it's causing memory issue. You shouldn't face these problems. Okay, so now let's come back to the example section. Here you have Excel, web, desktop automation, and the one that we need is scripting. There are 7 examples. If I scroll up, you can even see text manipulation. So the text functions that we saw, even date time handling. Just go and check it out, what we can do with it and how it's used. So that was about the scripting, and now it's time for practical exercises based on what we have learned so far. Let me at first explain you each of the exercise. There it is. So what's the first exercise? So there is a sample XML.xml that we have used, the books one. From that you need to list down all the book titles in a text file whose price is greater than 6, meaning you have to find out all those books that have a price greater than 6. Let's check out the XML, and not only that, you need to write it to a text file also. So text file related operations are also required. XML, XPath. Let's wait for it to load. So here's our XML. You need to find out the prices that is greater than 6. So if you can see, there are some 5.95, there is also a 4.95, even 6.95. So anything greater than 6, the titles of the books is what we want. We are not concerned with displaying the price. Just you need to filter it based on price, book all those books whose price is greater than 6 and get the titles in a text file. Let's go back to our assignment. Exercise 2, develop a flow to read the emails of Outlook from the past 1 week, last 7 days. We spoke about this in the Outlook automation section, but now that we have learned some date time related operations, string functions, yeah, text functions. So you can go ahead with this. So there is a file called email details in XLSX in excel.xlsx. Why is that required? Because you need to display all the emails from the past 7 days in this format into an Excel. The from email will come here, the to email. Take two CCs in your email. You can take your own email ID. The first email ID, there should be a pipe separator and a second email ID. The subject of the email, this is a placeholder with an angular bracket. So you can simply replace this with the actual subject. Then the email date time in this format shown over here. Then the attachment list separated by comma. Just add some random attachments like a PDF or a Excel or Word file, and the attachments should be separated by comma. That is the exercise. Clear with it? We move on to the third exercise, and this is to loop through all the files in the reports folder. If you remember, our first exercise began with reports folder. These files were present. You need to loop through all these files and suffix the last modified date time to each of these files. For the example format is file name, that is finance report hyphen the last modified date of that file dot the extension of the file, that is docx. So in this case, finance report hyphen on the last modified date dot docx. I hope this is clear. The fourth practical exercise. So you need to find the day names of the first and last day of previous month. Yeah, and you need to do this both using with and without scripting. First, you need to make use of any of the scripting actions of your choice. You can make use of any language if you're comfortable with VB script, JavaScript, PowerShell, make use of any one of them. So use any scripting, and the input should be the current date. You know how to get the current date and time. So let's say if today is the 7th of March 2025, then the current month is March, obviously, and obviously the previous month is February. So remember, you need to get the first and last day names of the previous month. So if 7th March 2025 is the input, the output should be the first day of previous month is Saturday. We need the day names, we don't need the dates. So if 1st February, that is the previous month, if the first date falls on a Saturday, it should display as the first day of previous month is Saturday. Likewise, the last day of previous month is Friday because 20th Feb is the last date of previous month. That falls on a Friday, so it should show as Friday. Clear with this exercise? Okay, good. This sums up our module, and thank you. We will see you in the next module, that is module 8.